Computer, yes. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. I'm super excited, not only for myself, but for everybody else to dive into our health. Wow, there we go. Dr. A's Habits of Health book. You should also have received your companion guide. We're going to read the first couple of chapters before we even dive into the companion guide, so don't worry about this book right now. If you don't have one, let's get one ordered. If you don't have one of these, let's get one ordered. I'm about to go get mine spiral bound because we use it that much. I just happen to give my books away awfully a lot, so this one I'm going to try to hold on to. Such a perfect tool. So if you have your book in front of you, we want to go through a couple of pages first, and then we're going to get started on the preface. So if you'll go to page number, oh, it's numeral numbers. Is that 8?
I don't even know. I think so.
VIII, isn't that 8? V is 5.
I think so.
It's the foreword by Robert Fritz. Robin wanted to touch on a few things in there. We're not going to read the whole thing, but she wanted to touch on a few steps or a few points in there. So go for it, Robin.
Yeah. So I was reviewing this and last night so that I'd have my thoughts kind of on the same page. And I thought about just skipping over this part because I had read it before a long time ago. But I thought, no, I'm going to go from the very, very beginning. And I'm really glad I did, because there is in this foreword by Robert Fritz in paragraph number 2, let me just read it really quick. It says, but this isn't yet another book trying to motivate change through fear, warning, shame, and images of disaster. Dr. A knows the difference between a process that allows you to create the state of health you truly want, and be a process that merely addresses health problems. Okay, so let me continue one more, and then I want to tell you what kind of really stood out to me. It says there's a profound difference between architecture and building demolition. Creating like architecture involves taking action to have something you want to come into being. Okay. So architecture is actually creating something that you want versus, let's see, problem solving, like building demolition, involves taking action and have something you don't want go away. So I don't know why this stood out to me. I think actually Lina did an awesome little book review a while ago. I think this comes back up in chapter 3. But she really pointed out, and I saw it here too, if we can change like our mindset to what we want to create versus what we don't want in ourselves, it's like a whole mind shift. Yeah. To me, it is. Because it's just a negative and a positive, right? And so if we fill our minds with positive things, we're going to be more positive about the things we get to do, the things we get to eat, the activities that our goals we want to reach. So I actually went back to my goals that I had written out. And I can't tell you how many of them said, lose this amount of weight, or, get rid of this, or it was amazing how negative I had written them out. And I just tried to reword it, that I wanted to be able to create a healthy body. Anyway, to me, that was just kind of big. So I wanted to point it out.
I love that. I find myself too, I think we focus too much on what we can't have, what we can't do, but when we're on this program, I can't have fruit and I can't have that cookie you brought over. I can't. Instead of saying, you know what? I'm choosing not to have that today because this is where I'm going. This is what I want. I want to be healthy. I want to feel good. And that's difficult. There are days that we succeed, and there are days they're like, ugh.
Yeah. And I've been trying to dive into some personal development. And in every one of the books or talks that I listen to or read, it talks about our purpose here is to create. So why can't we put that on a really personal note and wow, what can we create out of ourselves instead of we don't want. One last thing too, I loved this part that it talks about Dr. A's viewpoint. It's on the next page. So it's the second paragraph on that next page. It starts with what's unique. So he's just talking about what's different about this book. And he says, Dr. A understands that it's not a matter of willpower or a reaction to dire want. So this journey is not willpower. And that is super important for us to understand, because how many times do we tell ourselves, I'm just not strong enough. I just don't have the willpower to do it. I can't stick to, I can't stick to whatever plan you're on 100%. And then he goes on to say that Dr. A understands that if it's hard to change a habit, people won't do it, right? Our natural ability is, our natural thought process is, if it's hard, look away, protect ourselves.
Take the easy way.
Yeah. And then at the very end of that paragraph, he says, so he's developed a straightforward, manageable, and clear logistics that anyone can handle. And as we're starting this book, I think if we go into it with what we can create, and that Dr. A hasn't put this together so that we can have a strong willpower. He knows that's not what it's all about. And he will teach us how to understand, it's more than willpower, way more. So those were my thoughts on that first area.
Oh, I love that. Well, what I wanted to read was on the next page from Dr. Tuscan. I guess that's how you say it. I love the very first part where it talks about the stark facts of the United States. The United States alone, excess weight, obesity, and inactivity are reportedly responsible for about 300,000 deaths every year. Complications from obesity include increased risk of coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes, stroke, osteoarthritis, and certain cancers now account for over 9% of all healthcare costs. Surveys indicate that at least 66% of American adults are now overweight or obese, and that obesity is increasing at an even faster pace among children. As a result, the coming generation may actually have a shorter lifespan than their parents for the first time in American history. That is sickening and sad, and it's true, unfortunately. And so I like reading those stark facts, because I think I need to keep that in my mind and remind me, this is why I'm on a health journey. This is never going to be a destination. And admittedly, when I first started this program, I was looking for that destination. I was looking for that number on the scale that told me that I had made it, I had done it. But that was not correct thinking, because this is never going to be completely over. I can't then get to the end of this journey and go, great, and go back to my old habits. My old habits brought me to that first place to begin with. And then a year later, I'm having to do this all over again. No, let's not do that, right? Let's learn. And these books are really a key tool. The other thing he says is, I urge you to look at this journey you're about to embark upon under Dr. Anderson's guidance with eager anticipation. I love that word. Facing and overcoming something that has challenged you, perhaps your whole life. Several of us have had this whole life struggle, with an open mind and heart, with determination and conviction. It's a wonderful gift that only you can give yourself. I invite you now to take that first step on your journey and enjoy. What powerful words, because I think, especially us as coaches, think all the time, I can't do this for you. I can help you, I can guide you, I can show you the tools, but I can't choose if you're going to go off plan. I can't choose if you don't drink all your water. That's all in you. And sometimes we don't make the right choices, but we just keep moving forward. So I really love that. Okay, so I am going to start reading now on page, you guys are going to laugh at me because I have no idea. XV. Guys, what is that? 15?
But just to remind everybody, if you want to make a comment, then just unmute yourself. So tap your screen and you'll see the little microphone icon in the bottom corner. So please hop. That would be awesome.
Please do, because I want this to be interactive. I don't want you just hear me reading the whole time. And I love the commentary, because then we can really get something out of it. All right. So the preface says, we live in an obesogenic world. We're surrounded by seductively tasty, cheap, convenient, but oh so unhealthy food. Combine this with our many energy-saving devices and lack of activity, and our own way of life may soon kill us. We're supersizing ourselves to death. I feel like most of us, this unhealthy environment is already taking a toll. It's affecting how you feel, what you're able to do, maybe even the state of your health. Every day it seems we hear about how fat we have become, how badly we're eating, how little we're exercising, how much it's hurting us. We read about breakthrough research that might someday lead to a cure for obesity. We're exposed to a multitude of diet books, self-help books, diet programs, Yeah, the reality is that Americans keep getting bigger and bigger. And, you know, that is amazing. Heck, how many programs are out there? Most of us are still overweight. The fire hose of weight loss information out there is conflicting, overwhelming, and confusing. Like many, you've probably tried to lose weight and failed. You're not alone. Even most of those who are successfully initially fail eventually. You know how interesting is that too, that I think that's how I felt when I started out, was there's so much conflicting information. How do we know? How do we know what is what we need? How do you know what your body needs? My doctor literally told me, you need to lose weight. And I said, okay, how? Well, eat better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where's that list that tells me what's better? I mean, I tell people all the time, I'm not stupid. I know potatoes got to be better than potato chips. But, you know, who knew that watermelon's the highest on the glycemic index? I mean,
Yeah.
we love watermelon and we shouldn't stop eating it. But if you're trying to control your sugars, don't eat watermelon, right? But who knew that? Okay.
Yeah, I think you just got to know that I've been watching this show called The Big Ward on Netflix. And, like, it's true. People just don't know. This lady was like, red cabbage? I've never heard of that before. You know, stuff like that. Like, we do. We just have, I think the thing is we have to find what's good for our personal bodies. We are all different. And what might work for one person is not going to work for somebody else. We have to know what, you know, like sweet potatoes, even though they're better than potatoes, they still make me not gain, or, you know, not lose weight. So I just have to stay away from those. Other people can eat that when they're trying to lose weight and do just fine. So
right. Yeah, our body compositions are definitely different. Well, we've got inherently the same types of things, but yeah, everything else is, you have to really kind of dial in and tone out and figure out what your body needs, right? Okay, so it's no wonder we're struggling. It's likely that your life is a never ending of things to do, longer hours to work, more chores, less sense of meaning and purpose, and less fun. And on top of it all, that creeping weight gain is draining your battery and making everything feel like a battle for survival. I know how you feel because I once lived that way too. As a critical care physician, I spent over 80 hours a week in the intensive care unit, scrambling to keep patients alive, many of whom were suffering the ravages of obesity-induced disease. Lack of sleep combined with terrible eating habits caused my waistline to grow. Only the drawstring of my scrubs hid the reality that I was becoming the very thing that I was treating. Today, those 30 pounds of belly fat, along with all of that stress and fatigue, are in the distant past. I now have a 32-inch waist with a very low body fat. I sleep well, and I get out of bed every day with energy and enthusiasm. The best part is that I've redirected my focus. Over the past 6 years, I have developed a practical system based on bringing together medical science and everyday choices that will empower you to turn your life around. I love his passion. Okay, in those 6 years, I've helped countless people lose weight and create health in their lives. Most importantly, I've shown them how to make those changes last. In fact, the National Weight Control Registry, which tracks long-term successful weight loss, designates many of the people I've helped, including myself, as masters of weight loss. Wouldn't that be cool to be called masters of weight loss? I'm working on it. This book is a journey. Your destination is nothing short of optimal health. Along the way, you'll be adopting new and healthy habits that will bring you a lifetime of health and well-being. One of my proudest achievements is to have co-founded the Take Shape for Life, now Optavia, which has helped over 100,000 individuals improve their health. As a tribute to all of those who have taken this journey to optimal health, we'll feature some of those success stories throughout this book. Now, this book was actually written, he's updating it right now to do a new one. And this one was, what does it say? 2008. So if he helped 100,000 people in 2008, where are we now here in 2018, 10 years later, right? All right. Does anybody want to read the introduction, except for Misty, who I could do this, but it would be all backwards. Robin, would you like to read the introduction?
Sure. All right. So, beating the odds. 85% of people who go on a diet without behavioral support gain the weight back within 2 years. I made a big note here when I first did this. It's like, diets don't work. And that without behavioral support. So then I made a big note about healthy mind. That's what we're talking about here. Let's see. Those are lousy odds. If that isn't enough to convince you to abandon a diet circus, let's look at a recent study out of the UCLA. In the largest, most comprehensive and rigorous analysis to date, investigators reviewing 31 long-term dieting studies discovered, to no one's surprise, that the dieters gained their weight back and then some. In fact, several studies indicate that dieters are actually more likely to gain weight in the future and to suffer from poor long-term health than non-dieters. Ironic, isn't it? That's what he says. And, I think a lot of us know that. The yo-yo thing, the yo-yo dieting, and how usually I was really good at losing weight, but then I'd gain it all back and a little bit more. And then I'd lose some, then I gain back a little bit more. So, I am one of those statistics that can agree with that for sure. Let's see. You want me to just continue?
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
Okay. I know what you're thinking. There's no point in dieting, so you're off the hook. Not so fast, my friend. And I love this part of, I think it talked earlier about how he's just very candid. He's just himself when he's writing this book. And if you've ever seen him speak in person, this is exactly what he sounds like. He's hilarious. He's down to earth. He's such a compassionate leader. It says, dieting on its own may not be the answer, but neither is status quo. Being over a rate increases likelihood that you'll suffer from overall poor health and eventually become sick. Medical literature is teeming with studies that confirm it, and don't even have to be obese to be at risk. As your weight rises, so does your health risk. Extra weight around the middle is the harboring of poor health to come. As body fat gathers around our organs, it sends out even larger quantities of dangerous substances that increase blood pressure, cholesterol, triglycerides, and blood sugar, turning on a cascade of inflammatory pathways that erode the body's defenses. This cluster of systems called metabolic syndrome is currently attacking the health of over 70 million Americans.
What's interesting is when I've not eaten so well, at nighttime I can feel my legs and they are inflamed. They are on fire. My body takes inflammation very seriously, and I can physically now feel it. I never realized that's what it was before, but now if I've eaten something just completely, you have your Christmas break and you've eaten nothing but crap, I can feel my legs on fire, and I'm like, that is a body responding to the poisons I put in my body. But what point am I going to realize that when I'm eating is causing that poison, that body to do that? But one day, right?
Yeah. All right.
Just go ahead and go all the way to working together.
Okay. I was just kind of going through it because I read it last night too. A lot of it just talks about how, doctors just don't feel like their patients have it in them. And to be able to do it, they don't have the willpower kind of thing. So let me skip down to where it says, unlike a diet book. Let's go to that paragraph. It says,
okay.
Unlike a book, this book helps you sort through your life choices to make sure they're positioning you for success. We'll look at your current health, which is important. Let's find out where we are, and your daily habits. Determine what you need to move forward, and create an individualized step-by-step plan to support what I call your habits of health. This plan is about much more than weight loss. It's about reaching and maintaining optimal health. If you had the chance to live your best in the very best health possible, would you grab it? Of course you would, and I'm going to help you get there. Maybe you're already at the point where you're feeling unwell, gaining weight, spinning out of control, even developing symptoms of metabolic syndrome. Or maybe you're on medication or have undergone angioplasty for a blocked coronary artery. If so, you may be asking yourself, why? Why is this happening to me? The reason is simple: your daily choices, small errors of judgment in what you eat and how much you move or don't move, and other habits that seem insignificant, but that snowball until one day you realize that you feel heavy, tired, and sick. But you can stop this out of control scenario dead in its tracks. I'm going to give you the knowledge, skill, and support to put you back in the driver's seat. I love that. And he is so right. It's not like we have to like wake up on Monday morning and make these huge changes and be perfect. We just need to start with little choices all day long, and those little choices will start to build.
Yeah. Sorry, especially I think once you start seeing the realization or the positive consequences of those actions. So when you go to bed that night and you just feel good, like you've had a great day because of all the little choices you've made, rather than, oh man, I ate those cookies today and I shouldn't have had that soda, and they're going to bed and I feel like crap and why did I do that, you know? But if you can just say, well, I probably shouldn't have drinking that soda, but man, I did so good with everything else today. That positiveness also reflects in our brain too, and it helps us have, you know, rewrites neural pathways in our head for being happy. So let's do that, right?
Yeah.
All right, so working together. Does anybody else want to read, or you want me to keep going?
I just wanted to say something really quick. Somewhere else in the book, and I can't remember where, he says that we make more than 200 food-related choices every single day.
No wonder I'm tired.
So that's why it can't be put up to willpower, because, you know, think about little kids and how often they ask you. It only takes like 10 times of them asking you before you're like, sure, whatever, I'm done, you know? So if you're making if you're making 200 food choices in a day, you just need to have a higher reason than I'm just not going to, you know, or, you know, that I can withstand this temptation. So anyway,
wow.
That's my thought.
I love that thought. I hate that thought.
Is that you, Carrie?
I should say.
Yeah. Is that Carrie?
Yeah.
That is so awesome. I love how you said, like, it only takes your kids like 10 times asking you the same thing for you to say, whatever, just go.
So you
I
can
never
see
thought
what you're
about
doing
that.
to yourself.
Yeah. So we have our brain doing that constantly, 200 and something times a day. No wonder we're just like, well, whatever by the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's a great way to look at it. I love that.
That was a great analogy. This little guy's just makes me smile.
What were you going to say, Lina?
Nothing. I was going to offer to read the next section if Teresa wants me to.
Go for it.
Awesome.
Let's read the next section.
Good. Working together. You and I are going to build a different kind of relationship than you may have experienced in your past medical treatments. I'm not going to use prescriptions, warnings, or fear tactics. Instead, I'll be your coach, your guide. Together, we'll put you on the path to taking permanent charge of your health. Changing lifelong habits takes effort and can be stressful at times, especially in the beginning. Just remember, this book isn't the product of medical research alone or of my 30 years as a physician. It was forged through real life experience, from the experiences of the thousands of people I've helped reach a healthy weight and live a healthy life. I've fought alongside my patients and the people I have coached as they work to create health. I've joined them in celebrating their successes, and with each and every one, I've listened and learned what works and what doesn't, what's easy and what's hard. This book is the culmination of those experiences. It's about good habits and bad ones, about making a fundamental choice to create optimal health. I've made that choice, and I know that you can too. Think of this as the roadmap for your journey to optimal health. So I thought I like that part. That's really cool. And then this great diagram here of people, of as you're beginning your journey, because it is hard to get started. It's, the hardest part is to make the choice to move forward. But once you make that choice and make it a lifelong, thank you, Teresa, that helps.
It's backwards, but
that's okay. That still helps. But it's really great when you can see that you can start now, and even though it's difficult, you can make that choice to start moving toward your optimal health. So
I like that.
What's cool in that little picture is like reaching our healthy weight's just the first step.
That's right. It's a lifelong journey.
It is. Yeah. And I think those of us who have been here for a while, at least with the coaching part of it, has finally saw that. Because when I was just a client, I just saw preparing for your journey and reaching your healthy weight. That's all I saw. You know, I never saw learning habits of health. Well, why do I need that? I just want to get my weight off me, right? And I never saw optimizing your health. Well, didn't I just do that by losing weight? Right? It's all in that mind shift. And then thriving longer. Who of us doesn't want to thrive longer? I mean, I have had so many people who in my life have passed away from heart attacks, strokes, who have had congestive heart failure, who've had diabetes, and we know that a vast majority of those are caused by our unhealthy habits. My grandmother wasn't overweight. She had a heart attack. And if you would have asked me in high school if I thought I was healthy, I would have said yes. But you know what? I was a stick pole, but I couldn't run a mile. I'd totally run out of breath. I was not healthy. I was just thin because I couldn't gain weight at that age. I wish that stuck with me for the rest of my life, but it obviously didn't. But, you know, I couldn't gain weight to save my life. But you know what? I know for a fact I was not healthy. Put me in a marathon and I would have killed over dead. Watch the foods that I was eating. I may not have overeaten, but I certainly was not eating healthy either. I was that teenager that grabbed, you know, soda and well, I didn't drink much soda, but chips and candy bars or whatever because I could, and who cares? It was food, right? Yeah, that didn't keep me going. But yeah, there's way more than just reaching that healthy weight. So why don't you finish us up with that last paragraph? What, Robin?
I was just going to say, I always talk to my kids about that. My son can't get a pound if he tries, right? But I'll, you know, ask him not to drink the whole milk. Let's do skim milk. I mean, little changes, you know. And he's like, Mom, are you calling me skinny fat? And I was like, you know what, honey, if that's the way you want to word it, we can word it that way. But your insides need to be as healthy as my insides, even though your outsides look as much healthier, you know?
Right.
Because what's going on the inside is way more important. So yeah, those of us that are trying to gain weight or, you know, maybe don't need to lose weight, this is still like an amazing concept to get.
Yeah.
Well, I have a religious analogy, but I think it works really well for this also. It's like on a down escalator always, but we're going up. So we always need to be constantly moving and working towards getting up. I'm not done yet. Otherwise, because if we stop, then we're just going to automatically go back down. So we need
I like that.
to be working towards that healthy goal.
That is a great analogy for health. I love that.
Never stand still. We're never standing still, right? We're always moving one direction. I love that. I like visual.
I know. Me too. I can visualize that. All right, Lina, let's finish up that paragraph.
I was just going to add, you know, we were talking about that picture and about just focusing on the first couple of steps, but that's why it's so important for us and for us as clients and us as coaches to help our clients recognize their why. Because if you're just thinking you're just on this journey just to lose some weight and not get to the thrive and longer stage, then, you know, it's hard to stay focused. It's hard to stick to what you set out to do. But if you can see the big picture and see the why, then it makes it easy. Let me finish reading this. We begin in part 1 by teaching you the knowledge you need to prepare for your journey. After all, getting where you want to go depends on knowing where you are right now and understanding what you're up against. Part 2 takes you through 3 distinct phases that help you master practical tools for long-term health. And then in part 3, we will study the principles of longevity, ways to extend your life and enjoy your newfound health with every step. Let's take a closer look.
Well, I am excited for next week, you guys. This is really helping me, and I think of all the book clubs that we could be part of, I think right now this is probably the most important one for me, and I'm glad you guys are here too. So next week we'll get started with part 1. I also want to do a quick shout out for tonight's meetings. We have our client webinar or client support tonight at 6:30. Look for the link on our webpage and on Highway to Health. And then afterwards is the coaching one at 7 o'clock. So we'll see you guys there, and hopefully we'll see you next week. And as I post this video up, if you guys will comment on how you felt this went, that would maybe encourage others to come on next week, okay?
Hey, Teresa, those times are mountain time.
Mountain time.
So that's the East Coast is a little bit different. So just look for the link. They're so awesome. I mean, Jan and Kara and Gwen run them, and they are hilarious. They are so knowledgeable. It's a lot of fun. It's very interactive. So, so I guess let's work on our why, right, this week?
I love it.
We're going to meet back at the same time, same place?
Same time, same place, and let's work on our why more than just the number on the scale.
Yes.
Sounds good.
All
Thanks.
right. Talk to you guys later.